Good morning, children. Today we are going to study the next part of Unit 2, that is morphology of flowering plants. So, what are the topics involved today? Estivation, types of estivation, velvet, twisted, imbricate, vexillary, essential whorls, androecium, and the cohesion in the androecium and all these conditions, syngenesis, cynandrous, monodelphous, diadelphous, polyadelphous. Then the adhesion in the stamens, that is epipetalous, epiphyllous, number of lobes in the anther, and two conditions are here monothecous, dithecous. So we will start with the estivation. So children, you have studied already about the flower and its four floral whorls. The outermost whorl, which is calyx, made up of the sepals, and the second whorl, which is made up of petals, known as the corolla. So these petals and sepals, they are arranged in a floral bud in the various ways. So a floral bud shows the mode of arrangement of sepals and petals in the different ways. So this is known as the estivation. So we can say that the estivation is the arrangement of the petals and sepals in the floral bud or flower bud. So here we will study the types of estivation which are recognized in the flower. So the first type here, it is the velvet, where the floral leaves, petals and sepals, they are arranged side by side. So we'll see its detail again here in the velvet. So first type, velvet, margins of sepals and petals do not overlap but just touch each other. So you can see here, these are the, that you can see whether this is the petal and this is the sepal. So when you see their arrangement, so the member of the whorl are in contact with each other by their margins only, no overlapping. Without overlapping or turning, we will see here, this that condition is known as the velvet condition, where these whorls, they do not overlap each other while they are being in the contact. So this condition is known as the velvet condition, or arrangement is known as the velvet arrangement. And examples are there like calyx in the members of Malvaceae, Calotropis, Annona. These are the examples of this arrangement velvet. Next, that arrangement we will see here, twisted, which is known as the contorted also and the convolute also. Contorted, convolute or twisted, all three names are there. Here one margin of each petal or sepal overlapping on the other petal. So you just see this arrangement, how it is there in the petals arrangement, which is shown here. So here the members of a whorl rolled up in such a way that that margin of a member, it covers the margin of the next member, and the other is covered by the one before it. So once it's one that part, one margin, it covers the margin of the next member, and another margin further, it is covered by the one before it. So this type of arrangement is known as the twisted arrangement. And in a cross section, they appear just like a curved spokes in a wheel. So this arrangement is known as the twisted arrangement. Examples are there, hibiscus, China rose, that is, and gossypium. So these that are the twisted or contorted type of arrangements in the sepals and petals. Next we will study imbricate. What is imbricate? In imbricate, sepals and petals irregularly overlap on each other. There is as such no rule is there to overlap each other. So irregular overlapping is seen in the sepals and petals. Like one member of the whorl is exterior, means outside, one interior, and rest of the three having one margin exterior and other interior. So you just see here that one member of the whorl is exterior, then One is the interior. You can see its margin are inner side, and in this petal or sepal, margins are outside. So one is exterior, then one is interior, and rest of these three, they having one margin exterior and the another margin interior. So understood, children? This type of arrangement is known as the imbricate arrangement. So this is seen in Cassia and Caesalpinia, Dallonyx. These are the examples of the imbricate estivation. Further, they are of three types: ascendingly imbricate, quinquential is there, and the vexillary is there. So vexillary is in your syllabus. We will see. One more we will study here: quinquential type of arrangement, in which the type of imbricate estivation where two petals are external. So you can see here these two are external. So two petals are external and two internal, means both are inner side. So these two are external and two are internal, and the other margin external is there. So in that manner only this one is showing that the one margin here internal and another margin is here external. So this type of that arrangement is known as the quinquential arrangement, and this is seen in guava, calyx of Ipomea, and Catharanthus. Next we will see vexillary. Vexillary, it is the spatial type of arrangement where the large posterior petals, both margin overlap the lateral petals. So here the 5 petals we will see. In this the large posterior petal, this is the largest one. So large posterior petal and both margins of this overlap the two lateral petals. These are the lateral petals, and these lateral petals further other that margin, they overlap the anterior petals. So this type of arrangement is known as the vexillary, and this posterior one, this is called as the largest and the standard petal. This petal is named as the standard petal and nearly covers the two that lateral petals. These two lateral petals are known as the wings, which in turn overlap the two smallest petals. These two smallest petals, these are known as the keel petals, and this type of estivation is the characteristic feature of the Papilionaceous corollas of the pea family. So it is very commonly observed in the pea and bean flowers. So understood, children? This is all about the estivation, that is the mode of arrangement of sepals and petals in floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl. Now we'll study the third whorl in a flower, that is androecium, and this is actually the part of essential whorl. As I explained to you earlier, that flower has two that non-essential whorls and two are the essential whorls. So these are the essential whorls and one is the androecium. What is androecium? Androecium is the male reproductive part. This androecium is composed of stamens. So you can see here these are the stamens. Each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament. So you just see this is the stalk or filament and one anther. You just see at the upper side this is anther, and you just see here this is the dorsal view and this is the ventral view. So ventrally you can see this filament is attached with the anther with the help of connective. So this is the structure of stamen. Now we'll come to the anther. This is anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has two pollen sacs. So here you will see two pollen sacs are there and the pollen grains are produced in the pollen sacs. Sterile stamen is also observed, and when the stamen is sterile, means not capable to produce the pollen grain, this is known as the staminode. So now we will see the cohesion of the stamens. So in an androecium, stamens may be free from one another, or they show the different degrees of cohesion. So when the stamens, they are free from one another, then this condition is known as the polyandrous condition. Means no, that cohesion is seen in this condition. Next, when we see the different cohesion, so different degree of cohesion we will study here. First here the monadelphous. Monadelphous condition, where all the stamens are united in a group, one group, by their filaments only, but their anthers remain free. You just see, all the filaments, they are united, but the anthers are free. So this type of condition is known as the monadelphous condition, and this is observed in China rose or hibiscus. Next condition is diadelphous. Here also the filaments are united, but the filaments are united into two bundles. You can see this is one bundle, this is the another bundle. But the these anthers, they remain free. So here also anthers are free, here also anthers are free. But here only one group, here the two groups are formed. For example, in P. pisum, where there are 10 stamens, of which the filaments of 9 stamens, they are united in one bundle, and the 10th posterior stamen, it stands apart. So you can see this stamen is separate and 9 are united. So in this manner, two groups are, or two bundles are formed by the filaments of the stamens. This condition is known as diadelphous condition and observed in P. Then next we will see the polyadelphous condition. In the polyadelphous condition, here the filaments are united in several groups. There are many groups. You just see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So many groups are formed by the fusion of the filaments, but the anthers, they remain free. Example, bombyx, citrus. So this is observed in them. Next condition is syngenaceous condition. In syngenaceous condition, what happens? That anthers are united to form a cylinder around the style. That is syngenaceous condition, and filaments, they remain free. For example, sunflower, helianthus, here, that is syngenaceous condition. So anthers, they are united to form the cylinder around the style. And one more condition is there, that is synandrous condition, where all stamens united throughout the length. Suppose these stamens, they are united by their filament also and by the anther also. So that condition is known as the synandrous condition, found in the cucurbita, and syngenaceous we observe in the sunflower. Next, length of the stamens. So length of the stamens we will see here. All stamens in a flower may be of the same length, or they are of different lengths, and the later conditions may be two conditions we will study here, that is the didynamous condition and tetradynamous condition. So here the didynamous condition we will see here. The first condition you will see, didynamous condition. Here there are 4 stamens, 2 short and 2 long. You just see 2 short and 2 long. And tetradynamous condition, where an androecium of 6 stamens with inner 4 long, 1, 2, 3 and 4. These 4 are long and outer 2 are short. So this is the length of stamens. Next we will study the adhesion of stamens, means attachment of stamens with the other floral whorls. So here again the different conditions are there. You just see here the polyandrous condition I was discussing previously, when the stamens are free from one another. So there is no that adhesion. This condition is known as the polyandrous. But when we see the adhesion, then the two conditions are there, epipetalous and epiphyllous. What is epipetalous condition? Epipetalous conditions are there. We'll see in epipetalous, here stamens are they are attached or they adhering to the corolla, means the petals. So these are the stamens which are adhering to the corolla or partially by their filaments. Anthers remain free. For example, ocimum, brinjal, they show this epipetalous condition, means attachment of stamens with the petals. The next is the epiphyllous condition. Epiphyllous means stamens, they are adhering to the perianth. As I explained you yesterday, what is perianth? When the two whorls, this calyx and corolla, are not clearly differentiated, then that whorl is known as the perianth and its unit is tepal. The individual member is known as the tepals. So here these stamens, they are adhering to the tepals or the perianth. Understood? For example, in lily, asphodelus. So these are the example of the adhesion of the stamens. Then we will study the number of lobes in the anther. So here two conditions we will study: monothecous and dithecous. Mono means single. So a one lobed anther is known as the monothecous one, and examples are there: hibiscus, China rose. Then dithecous condition means there are two lobes. So two lobed anther is known as the dithecous and it is observed in citrus. Next terminology we will study: attachment of the filament to the anther. So further these terms we are going to study just for the practical purpose, which you will have in the 12th class. So that is why I am explaining you here. So attachment of filament to anther. So we'll see here four conditions, means in this attachment of filament to anther: adennate, basifixed, dorsifixed and versatile. So let me see what is the meaning of adennate. Here this filament, they are running the whole length of anther. So attachment of filament is there with the whole length of the anther. Anther की पूरी length से ये filament attach होता है, right from the base to the apex. This is adennate condition. Basifixed is here. Here the basifixed means filament is attached to the base of the anther. This is anther and this is the base. So filament is attached to the base of the anther. Examples: brassica. Then dorsifixed. In dorsifixed condition, filaments are attached to the back of the anther, means on the back side it is attached. So filaments attached to the back of the anther and it is seen in Begonia. Then the versatile is there. In versatile you will see this is anther and here this is the filament. So filaments attached to the back of the anther at one point only. So here this anther, it can swing freely, found in basically wind pollinated flowers and like in grasses. So these are the four that conditions we have studied, the attachment of the filaments to anther. Now next, dehiscence of anther, means splitting of anther and releasing the pollen grain. So many conditions are there, mainly intrors and extrors you will study again and again. So what is intrors? Intrors means anther dehiscing towards the center of the flower. Okay, towards the center of the flower. Dehiscing means splitting of the anther and releasing the pollen grain. So an anther dehiscing towards the center of the flower, for example dianthus. And further extrors we will see. Here the dehiscence is taking place towards the periphery of the flower. So this is seen in the argemone. Many are there, like laterors is there, that is means on the splitting is taking place at the lateral side. Then transverse you see here at the transversely when splitting is taking place. When it is through the pore, then it is porous. So many conditions are there, mainly this extrors and this intrors. These two terms are repeatedly you study, or it means these terms they are asked in the practical part. So some of the portion I explained you for the practical purpose. So students, you revise all these conditions with the help of diagram and read from the book also and ask your doubt.